If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. What's going on, Knuckleheads? Welcome to the FightersRep video podcast. I'm your host, as always, the FightersRep. We got our whiskey with us tonight. It's going to be an exciting night on the podcast. We're going to be talking about Jon Jones versus Dominick Reyes. This is our preview prediction with Ethan Quiachon. He is a fighter that's going to be competing at FightersRep 9. He's actually going to be co-main eventing against Anthony Warken. He's up in the San Francisco area, so we haven't been able to get him on camera too much. So we're having him on the podcast in order to help you guys get to know him before his fight. But we are going to be talking about Jon Jones versus Dominick Reyes first before we hit up Ethan Quiachon for the interview ahead of his fight at FightersRep 9. So we're going to do this like we always do it. You know, we're going to tell you guys about the physical attributes of both fighters. We're going to tell you what we think each fighter needs to do in order to win the fight. And then we're going to make a prediction. Obviously, after that, we're going to open up the lines to you guys. There is a way to reach us on Skype at FightersRep Promotions if you guys want to do it there. Or you can just talk to us in the super chat. And that's always a good time. So let's get this show on the road. Jon Jones, Dominick Reyes. It's going down tomorrow. I think this is, if I'm being honest with you, one of the more exciting fights happening in the UFC for me this year because, I know a little bit of inside knowledge on Dominick Reyes. I think he's a fantastic talent, even though Jon Jones is a minus 450 favorite on this card. But again, it's going down tomorrow at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Dominick Reyes, Jon Jones, let's break them down physically and get right into it. So, the height for this fight is the same. If you ask me, they're both listed at 6'4", but if you ask me, Reyes might even have a bit of a height advantage, although it would be very, very minimal. But both guys at about 6'4", and it looks like a reasonable listing. Like both are actually telling the truth. We get a lot of fake heights in combat sports, but I think both of these guys are being accurate. And I say that because I've actually stood in front of Jon Jones and shook his hand. This happened right before his fight with Ryan Bader when he was still coming up. And I remember saying to myself, good Lord, how's this guy making 205 pounds? He's absolutely massive. I'm about 6'1", 6'2", and I remember him being significantly taller than me. So I said, wow, this is a big guy. So both guys, 205 pounds. Obviously, the light heavyweight limit. Both guys, 6'4". Now, the reach is a big advantage for Jon Jones at 84-inch reach. He is a broad-shouldered beast of a light heavyweight. And he's obviously going to go against Dominick Reyes, 77-inch reach. Not a small reach by any means, but not the freakishly long reach of Jon Jones. Another thing we need to talk about is their stance. Little people may know this, but Jon Jones stands orthodox, whereas Dominick Reyes is a southpaw. So that's something for both fighters to kind of take into consideration, is that strong hand coming down the pipe. They're each other's kryptonite when they do that. And I think that's going to, play quite a bit of a factor in this fight. We'll get to that in a minute. Dates of birth, you've got Jon Jones born in 1987. So I believe that's 32 or 31 years old. Forget my math on this one. But, basically, Reyes born in 89. He's 30 years old. And Jon Jones, on the other hand, I'll confirm it for you guys, just so I don't sound like a total idiot. 32 years old for Jon Jones, 30 years old for Dominick Reyes. So, both guys priming. Both guys in their prime for this fight. And, I say that because they're probably in their physical prime or still entering it, especially as light heavyweights. I feel like the big guys sort of mature later on. But, it's an important thing to think about because in this fight, even though Dominick Reyes may be physically entering his prime, I still feel like he doesn't have the experience of Jon Jones or the maturity of Jon Jones yet, just because, maybe the maturity, but not the experience, because Jones has had so many more fights and has been at this for such a long time in the UFC at such a high level. So, all important stuff, but, as far as their ages, about the same. Jones 32, maybe slightly further or closer to his prime than Dominick Reyes at just 30 years of age, which is borderline spring chicken in this sport and at this weight, if you ask me. So that's basically it as far as their physical goes. I would say Jones, more of the longer, wiry type. Dominick Reyes, though, an athletic, tall, strong guy. And I think that left hand can pose some problems for Jon Jones in this fight. Also, if we look at their records, obviously Jon Jones 25-1 with a no contest against Daniel Cormier. That one on his record is that BS 12-6 elbow, I guess, disqualification he got against, I think it was Matt Hamill. And Dominick Reyes, also an undefeated fighter at 12-0, obviously hasn't been doing it as long in the UFC as Jon Jones has, but nonetheless very impressive, being undefeated and hasn't lost a fight in the UFC yet, and he's fought 6 fights in the UFC. So, nothing to laugh about. Dominick Reyes is a serious threat to Jon Jones, and that's what I want to say before I get into what I think each guy needs to do in this fight to win. I think Dominick Reyes is a legitimate threat to Jon Jones. I think he's one of the biggest threats to Jon Jones in a while. I feel like he's almost like a fresh Alexander Gustafsson type threat for Jon Jones, because, Jones hasn't had the previous fight in order to sort of soak in the information about Reyes. This is his first crack at him, their first crack at each other. And I think Reyes, big, long, strong, athletic, that big left hand, he could throw it down the middle, which is very problematic for an orthodox fighter like Jon Jones, who I believe has inferior boxing to Dominick Reyes, although that's probably where I'll draw the line. But that being said, a very powerful striker in Dominick Reyes, a very athletic guy, and a guy who can get the job done in this fight. I think he's a really live underdog in this fight, and I am a little bit nervous for Jon Jones in this fight, just because we saw him come away with that split decision against a heavy striker in his last fight in, I believe it was Thiago Santos. And, is Thiago Santos a much better striker than Dominick Reyes? I don't know. I feel like maybe a better kicker, but as far as a puncher, I think Dominick Reyes has the better boxing and also can kick like a mule, as he's shown. So definitely a live, scary underdog for Jon Jones. In order to win this fight, Dominick Reyes, in my opinion, is going to have to stand there and try to bang with Jon Jones. He can't stay at range for too long. If he does stay at range against Jones, who has the reach advantage, he better be using his kicks in that range if he's going to plan to stay at mid to long range. Otherwise, he needs to be attacking Jon Jones and creating a little bit of chaos and not allow himself to get into Jon Jones's clinch. But if he does, he's going to have to bang his way out of it. And he's going to have to be comfortable, in the clinch with his back against the cage, because Jones will put him there. Jones will make him uncomfortable. He will make him fight going backwards. And, he will push him up against the cage in order to slow Dominick Reyes down. I do not think he wants a boxing match with Dominick Reyes. So that's what I think needs to happen. Reyes should attack the legs with some heavy kicks and the body, and should throw a lot of punches. Try to bang Jon Jones out of there. That's what he should try to do, the way he's done to so many of his other opponents. As far as Jon Jones go, he just needs to be Jon Jones really in this fight. I think he needs to use, that very difficult range. Keep those arms stiff and in front of him like he always is, always pawing, basically negating his opponent's attack with the hands. He's going to have to do that here against a big left hand of Dominick Reyes, which could be very dangerous for Jon Jones if it lands. I mean, this is a guy that's his size, and if he lands flush on Jon Jones, could really hurt him. So Jones, I think, is going to have to move forward, try to push this guy back, keep him at range, be creative with his kicks. I do think he has the advantage on the kicking, definitely with the wrestling and the clinch as well. I'm not sure if this fight goes to the ground, if Reyes is going to be able to get up. That's something we're going to have to figure out, but something tells me he will be able to, and I say that because it looks like he trains with Joe Daddy Stevenson, and I know that they've got Jamal Pogues out there, a very strong heavyweight, I believe, or light heavyweight wrestler who has very high level wrestling. And, if you ask me, Joe Daddy Stevenson's probably got these guys drilling and training each other into oblivion to make sure that whatever position that Jon Jones can put, Dominick Reyes in, Reyes is going to be able to get out of it. So at the end of the day, that's why I see this fight as an intriguing matchup. It's that little bit of insider information I have about the camp that Dominick Reyes comes from and the dedication and the guys that they have over there. He's working with Smiling Sam Alvey, but he's also working with Jamal Pogues, a young, up-and-coming, very strong wrestler. And I also believe that Dominick Reyes is not going to go into this fight blind. He's going to go into this fight extremely prepared. He's a former football player. He's got all the athleticism in the world. We've seen his punching power. We've seen his athleticism come through, and he's got that one-hitter quitter, as he's shown against, Weidman, Jared Cannonier, Joaquin Christensen. He almost sparked out Ovince St. Preux. So, very tough guy, very scary guy, a guy who can end the fight with a punch. And that's something that Jon Jones really can't do. Jon Jones is more of a volume kind of guy. So we'll see what happens there. Very intriguing matchup. At the end of the day, as far as a prediction goes, this fight makes me queasy. This fight makes me queasy for Jon Jones. I would say it's a 60-40 fight in favor of Jon Jones. However, I do see the possibility of Dominick Reyes hurting Jon Jones. That being said, I think Jon Jones presses him up against the cage, probably negates him, takes him down to the ground, and possibly finishes the fight there, or gets a decision, a very close decision. I could also see, and that's my prediction. I would say Jon Jones by decision. My second prediction would be, by some sort of finish on the ground with ground and pound. Also, though, I could see Dominick Reyes, as crazy as this sounds, I have a horrible feeling that he can knock Jon Jones out. I do think he can do that. I do think he can be the first guy to stop Jon Jones. I know you guys might think I'm absolutely insane for saying that, but a big, strong, athletic guy that's his size with shorter arms, if those arms are getting to the target a little bit faster because maybe they're a little bit shorter, I don't know. And with the athleticism and explosion that Dominick Reyes has, if that left straight punch lands on his chin, this is a fight, and these are small gloves, and this fight could end with that shot. So, I can see Dominick Reyes winning this fight. I can also see him landing some kicks to the body and maybe hurting Jones there. Something tells me that Jones will have to face adversity in this fight. Both guys will, and I'm excited to see who comes out on top. That being said, again, conservative prediction. I'm going to have to go with Jon Jones by decision. He's tried and true. He's consistent. He's dominant, and that's what I'm going to have to go with. But, Dominick Reyes is a serious live dog. And if you look at their last performances, Jones actually taking a little bit of a hit in his momentum coming off of a split decision win against a guy who was hurt. So, that's not a real confidence booster compared to, a very confident guy in Dominick Reyes, who got a devastating finish against Chris Weidman in his last fight, and a guy who's definitely going to go in there with a lot of confidence. So, before we continue, I want to thank you guys for joining us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, the bell notification icon next to it. By doing so, you're supporting this channel, you're supporting Fighters Rep, and you're supporting the only pro-am kickboxing promotion in the entire state of California. You can also support us by buying a Fighters Rep t-shirt in the link below, donating in the link below, or in the super chat. Subscribing. If you're watching on the replay, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It's much appreciated. So at this time, speaking of Fighters Rep 9, we're going to make a phone call to none other than Ethan Quiachon. He is going to be co-main eventing on the Fighters Rep 9 card. We're going to give him a call. We're going to get to know him. He's up in San Francisco, but we're going to get to know him because, we want to introduce you guys to our fighters. Ethan is a fantastic striker. He's going to be competing against, again, Anthony Warken of Fight Solutions HD, or HQ rather, in the co-main event. So we're going to give him a call right now.
Hello?
Ethan, how's it going, brother? You are live.
How's it going, George?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, brother. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just finishing up training at the gym. So, cooling down, tapering down, just relaxing now.
Very cool, my man. So a little bit about yourself, Ethan. I know you're training out of Wooden Man Muay Thai. My understanding of Jongsanan Wooden Man is he's a two-time Lumpini champion. He's trained Muay Thai and MMA champions, had a record of something like 98 and 28 with 23 knockouts. Two-time ISKA world champion. I mean, the list goes on and on. Sort of tell me a little bit about your camp and then about yourself.
So, like you said, I train under Jongsanan the Wooden Man. Jongsanan the Wooden Man Fairtex. He's a two-time Lumpini champ as well as a two-time ISKA world champion. We train out of San Francisco, California, at his gym, Wooden Man Muay Thai. And like you said, he's trained a lot of champions, MMA fighters, as well as Muay Thai champions as well. Myself, I'm a professional Muay Thai fighter out of here, and that's pretty much it,
How long have you been doing this? Because, I mean, you have 6 fights under your belt. We've got you as the co-main event on our card, which we're very excited about your fight against Anthony Warken. But, 6 fights under your belt now as a pro. How long have you been in the fight game in total?
So I've been training now for about 10 years in Muay Thai.
Wow.
And I've been fighting for 9 years. And I've been professional now since late 2017. So going on my 3rd year.
And what kind of amateur background did you have as far as fighting?
I had just a Muay Thai background. I started with Muay Thai and that's all I did. Before Muay Thai, I didn't do any martial art.
I see.
Or I didn't have any martial art experience. So from the beginning, I started with Muay Thai.
Okay, very cool. And all of your competition in California, or have you traveled around a bit?
I've had fights in California. I've had a couple of international experiences as well, overseas. Yeah, as an amateur and a pro.
Very cool. And what would you say is the best thing that you've gained from training with Jongsanan, the wooden man, Jongsanan Fairtex?
Man, I every day is a learning experience with him. The man is gold. A lot of people can tell you that, and I realize every day how lucky I am. But every day is different. Sometimes he's feeding me new stuff to add on what I have in my game, or he's just giving me little things to change my game up or work on the things we've already been working. So he's always adding and always trying to better myself, whether it's a small thing with like basic hand position or rhythm, or even just like how to supplement what I already have in my game that he's put into me or that I have already. So he's always molding me and always keeping me on my toes. So very lucky to train with him, you know.
For sure, you know, and I must say, you know, we have reposted some of your videos on our social media, and my goodness, I mean, I must say, you know, you look really impressive, and I'll go as far as to say intimidating. And there was something that I wanted to ask you about on a personal note. I noticed that when you throw a strike, you kind of make this sound. I mean, it's kind of a terrifying sound if I'm being honest with you, but it's almost like you're breathing in a certain way. I mean, is there like a technique to that? Is that something that he taught you?
That's funny because I kind of started that when I first started training, and going back to it, one of my first trainers actually had me working on kind of like breathing. So the sound that I'm screaming is, of course, because I'm throwing all I have into my strikes, but it's a breathing technique as well, because when I'm training, I have to control my breath just like when I fight. But I only make those sounds when I kick the pads and when I kick the bag, but I really don't make those sounds much when I'm fighting or sparring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was fascinating. I felt like there was some technique involved there by the way you were doing that.
It is a breathing technique. It is a breathing technique.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, Ethan, I'm excited to have you on. You're a Muay Thai fighter, and that's a different rule set than what we do at FightersRep. As you know, we're basically the only pro-am unified rules kickboxing promotion in the state that's doing exclusively unified rules kickboxing. I think it's a fantastic rule set, especially for people from a Muay Thai background. Have you competed in this rule set before? And if not, how do you feel like your skills are going to transition into this rule set?
No, I've never competed in kickboxing, and ever since I turned pro, I wanted to try it out, but I never had the opportunity. So going into this fight, I'm very excited, A couple weeks ago when we found out we had a fight and we signed a contract, and I told Johnson he changed the training, but he didn't change the training where I have to start from the ground up. He changed the training where it will supplement my style of fighting, my Muay Thai style. So really, he's just adding more tools to what I already have, and I get to show it come fight night, I get to show a different style of Ethan Quiachon when the lights turn on and we fight kickboxing rules, So it's exciting. I get up every day looking forward to it, the challenge that I have when I come in the gym with what I have to change, because I don't get my elbows, I don't get the clinch, But that's just a couple of weapons I have. I still have my hands, I still have my legs, I still have my knees.
That's true. That's true. And I'm over the moon to have you on this card, my man. I mean, when I saw those videos of you, I told our matchmaker Jesse Brown, I was like, I want this guy, man. I want this guy. And I'm especially interested in this matchup with Anthony Warken, because you guys are about the same height. You guys are both obviously explosive, and what an interesting fight this is, considering your lineages. I wanted your opinion. I wanted your opinion on that. You coming from that Wooden Man Muay Thai background, and him out of Fight Solutions HQ, which is basically the continuation of that shoot box lineage. Wanderlei Silva and Shogun Rua come to mind. I mean, what do you think about those two styles kind of colliding?
I'm excited, man, and much respect to them, and like you said, the lineage they have and what they have done for the sport of kickboxing or shoot boxing. So much I have respect for them, and I'm looking forward to go out there and perform that night against them.
Yeah. Another thing I'm really excited.
Very exciting.
For sure. Another thing I'm really excited about is, I believe Anthony has just done Muay Thai and MMA as well. I mean, he's never really done a pro kickboxing fight as far as I know. So I believe it's going to be fantastic. I also, he's done a kickboxing match. Okay.
He fought one of my close friends and brother, Mark Lamaco up north a couple years ago. kickboxing rules.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Because my understanding was he came from a more of a Muay Thai background, is what I thought. But still interesting. You know, he's got 5 fights. You've got 6. I mean, you guys are almost identical. You know, how do you feel about the matchup?
I feel good, you know. I'm excited. I mean, I think Anthony and I were supposed to fight a couple times. I believe one time as an amateur and I had to pull out, and then a name has come across a couple times with promotions as well. So I'm looking forward to it, you know. Yeah. I'm excited.
He actually told me about that. I spoke to him and he was like, me and Ethan were supposed to fight in the past. I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. Obviously, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. You know, this is our first Pro-Am, and I'm super hyped to have you and him on the co-main event. But, you know, what do you think is the chances going forward of us seeing you in the Fighters Rep ring doing more kickboxing in the future?
Hey, man, as long as everything lines up and everything works out and you guys and myself, we have the opportunities, I'm willing to take it and willing to do it, as well as bring my team out, you know, all my teammates that are open to trying kickboxing and putting on a show. You know, I can see it happening in the future after this fight. I would be open to that as long as everything lines up correctly and the timing's right, you know.
Sounds great, man. Hey, I'm really excited to have you on. You know, Ethan, I appreciate your time. You know, is there anything you want to say? Anybody you want to shout out? You know, I know you got a lot of help. I see you posting on social media. You're training, you're grinding it out. You got all your brothers out there in arms training with you. Is there anyone you want to shout out? Anyone you want to thank?
First and foremost, you know, I want to shout out my trainer and my team at Woodman Muay Thai and Jongsan as well for supporting me on this journey. You know, it's not just this fight, but it's just the whole fighter's journey coming along step by step, and they support me every step of the way, so I appreciate that the most. And then I want to thank my sponsors who helped me get to this point. Satra Woot, Authentic Muay Thai Supply, Accelerated Sports, Somar Bar, Vitality Health. Thank you guys for everything, you know. I'm looking forward to making you guys proud, and you guys have kept me together every step of the way. So without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Team Quiachon wouldn't be possible. And for everyone listening to this and everyone going out to see the fight, we're going to watch the fight on YouTube. Expect the show because I'm putting on a show for sure, February 28th.
Man, we're absolutely hyped to have you. My hair on the back of my neck is standing up for this fight. I do believe this fight is going to be an absolute, you know, a blistering fight, and I'm really excited about it, man. Ethan, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, George.
Yeah, man, a pleasure. You have a great one, bro.
You too.
All right, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's Ethan Quiachon. Again, he's going to be co-main eventing at Fighters Rep 9. Be sure to either get your tickets at FightersRep.com. If you're anywhere near the Southern California area, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be one you don't want to miss, man. This is the most action-packed rule set, I think, in all of combat sports. You've got 2 guys with a Muay Thai base that are going to be, you know, 2 really fast, athletic, explosive guys that are going to be going at it between Ethan and Anthony. Something I'm absolutely hyped about, as you can tell. And if you can't get your tickets at FightersRep.com and show up, you will be able to tune in right here on the YouTube channel and watch the fight. So, oh, and also let me tell you guys where you can follow the fighters. Ethan can be followed at Ethan on Instagram. That's E, which is 5 E's, followed by THAN. So follow him, show him some love. That's Ethan on Instagram. 5 E's followed by THAN. That's Ethan Quiachon. Also, if you want to follow Anthony Warken, his opponent, it's just Anthony Warken, WARKEN. That's his Instagram handle. Follow these guys. Show them some love, man. These guys are super, super talented. They're going to put on a hell of a show. It's all stand and bang. There's no clinching. There's no holding. Again, I think the most exciting rule set in all of combat sports. So just a quick shout out. Muay Thai 23 says Floyd Mayweather versus Megan Olivi. You're absolutely ridiculous. Muay Thai 23. Pound for pound boxing says, what's up, broski? What's up to you, my brother? Appreciate you joining the chat. So, that's pretty much it. It's looking like a quiet Friday in the chat room today, but I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. Tell me what you guys think about my my prediction on Jon Jones versus Dominick Reyes. Again, I think Jon Jones does get it done, so if you're anywhere near a sports book, definitely put your money on Jon Jones. I think he's the one that wins this thing. But, Dominick Reyes does have a shot, so if you're feeling lucky, go for it. If you're feeling lucky, go for it. But Knuckleheads, that's all I've got for you this evening. I appreciate you guys for joining me. And until next time, keep it clean. I'm the Fighters Rep, and I'll see you immediately after the fights tomorrow.